back to our big story of today. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority is continuing their investigations into the BHI Trust as an alleged Ponzi scheme. And it's also extended its investigation to include regulated entities that may have promoted the products of the BHI Trust. Now, for more on this and to unpack what a Ponzi scheme is, let's bring in Professor André Heymans, the Director of the School of Economic Sciences on the Potchefstroom Campus at the Northwest University. André, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's start with the BHI Trust. What happened there?
Good evening, Melissa, and good evening to the viewers. Yes, the details are still very hazy, but it seems that BHI Trust has been operating for the past 15 or so years through a number of seemingly credible service providers. And at this point in time, it seems that the main trustee of BHI, Greg Warrener, has lost money during the financial crisis. According to him, in order to hide these losses, he claims that he started paying out existing investors with new investor money while he tried to make up the losses incurred during the crisis. So the story only really recently broke when Warrener turned himself in about 3 weeks ago, stating that he used money from Peter to pay Paul, and he then asked to be arrested and locked up in a cell by himself, I'm guessing to avoid bad things happening to him.
So let's just go back, André. What is the features of a Ponzi scheme versus a pyramid scheme? Is it the same principle of whoever gets in first makes the money, but those who get in at the end get swindled?
Yes, I think there's not really, I wouldn't make a distinction between the two. If you think of a pyramid and the shape of a pyramid, it really describes the money flows. So you've got a first tier of investors that pays in money, and you need a second tier of investors to use that money to pay the tiers higher up. The word pyramid scheme also gets used a lot in direct marketing companies where there's actual real products or services being sold. Whereas a Ponzi scheme, I think, is more, it is actually just used as a description for when a pyramid scheme is only on investments or just pertains to investments or the investment world. And obviously based on the scheme that Ponzi ran in the 1800s.
Now, if we look at the current tough economic times, we're all looking for a break, a quick buck, let's say it that way. Does this make us more vulnerable to becoming a victim of a Ponzi scheme or pyramid scheme? And what should we be looking out for to ensure that we're not victim to one of these schemes?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, tough economic times get people worrying about their investments, get them worrying about the financial futures. And if you look at the research out there, let's just say less than 10% of South Africans can afford to retire. So people are definitely looking for ways to make their savings stretch further. And obviously promises of high, stable returns are very alluring. That's on the one end. And obviously also South Africa has got a very sophisticated financial system, and that makes it a lot easier for sophisticated criminals to get less sophisticated investors' money from them. So if we want to then see how we can avoid getting drawn into these schemes, the classic things to look out for, and this is really right through the board, whenever you look at a Ponzi scheme, you always see high returns. That is really the mechanism through which these scammers get people to invest money. They promise returns over and above market returns. So that's the one very key component. The other key component, obviously, also is that these returns are always stable. And if you don't offer stable returns, then you don't get people to invest with you and keep their money invested. The moment that you seem to be running a loss, or when it seems like you're not going to offer these stable high returns, you run the risk that your investors withdraw their money and then the fund collapses. So what to look out for is really stable high returns, and then the way in which the investment scheme really comes to your attention. So via a private network, it always creates the idea that you are part of a select few people who know about this investment opportunity, and you really should be doing your due diligence to make sure that you don't fall victim to these scammers.
Thank you so much for your insights and advice, Andre. That was Professor André Heymans, the Director of the School of Economic Sciences on the Potchefstroom Campus at the Northwest University. Back to you, Sally.
So now we've learned Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, the same thing. And I've just been Googling. Charles Ponzi is the man who gave name to pyramid schemes. He was born Carlo Pietro Giovanni Guglielmo Tebaldo Ponzi. He died in 1949. He was an Italian swindler and con artist. He operated across the United States and Canada.
Yeah. And I also think the one thing we have to remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sally.
Melissa.